Hey there, Mercy here, and I want to tell you about this badass indie racing game I've been playing called Parking Garage Rally Circuit. First off, I just want to thank the developer Walaber Entertainment for providing me with a key for review. I wasn't paid or given any requirements or guidelines for this video. All opinions in this video are my own, so thanks again to Walaber Entertainment. Parking Garage Rally Circuit is a throwback to 90s precision driving games. It most notably reminds me of the parking garage tutorial from the original Driver, but instead of having to do a bunch of tedious tasks under a certain time limit, you're racing against the clock through different tracks. The tracks get more technical and more difficult as you progress through the game's single-player mode. The first track being a series of twists and turns with a few small jumps on a pretty basic-looking parking garage, whereas later tracks have you performing big jumps across multiple parking garages. Some tracks have obstacles like falling rocks and snow plows. The controls feel very responsive. The game has a dedicated drift button, and depending on your steering, you can control how wide or how tight your drift is. There's no real counter steering or anything like that. You're just trying to determine how narrow or how wide your drift is. You're also incentivized to hold drift for longer. After a while, the smoke under your tires will change colors, indicating a bigger boost once you let off the drift. It works pretty much how Mario Kart does it, if you're familiar. So hitting a boost and then building up drift during that boost will allow for even higher speeds. It's not like you can cancel a boost and then pocket it for later or anything like that. You have to let it go at some point after getting it during that drift. It's important to know track layout so you can keep your momentum going and build up your speed over time. It's not the type of game where you can just hold down the gas button and speed through an entire course. I mean, I guess you can, but your time's just not going to be very competitive. The sense of speed isn't crazy fast, but it definitely feels like it sometimes with such tight, claustrophobic courses to navigate. Knowing where to build your boost, where to take a corner wide, where to hit a ramp to land the perfect jump, all while in the back of your mind knowing that one wrong input could ruin your entire race. You have to also consider which ramps to boost off of and which ones to drift through. See, if you're drifting, you won't launch off of the ground and you'll slide through a jump. Whereas if you let off the drift and boost, the game will fling you straight off the track. This game doesn't have invisible walls or anything like that to catch you, so it's very old school, and I love that about it. Most of the time, I wasn't even mad when I crashed due to the silly physics. The car can feel a bit floaty once you're in the air, more so than I expected, so I found myself clipping into barriers in the ceiling of whatever floor I was trying to jump down into. It's not a knock against the game, it's just something you have to get used to. The grippiness of drifting versus the floatiness of everything else. I haven't played a game that controls like this in a really long time, so it took some adjusting. It's one of those games where it looks really simple on the surface and it's fun to play as a new player, but you'll find yourself restarting often trying to get gold and climb the leaderboard. The visuals are also very old school with this unique Sega Saturn vibe. I never had one growing up, and I've only ever seen one in person a handful of times, but I recognize this look anywhere. There are also a bunch of different visual effects you can add, like scan lines, chromatic aberration, and CRT warping, which gives the edges a more curved look. There are also some pretty neat graphics presets, each one supposed to look like a different platform. The one you've seen for most of this video is the one that I use the most, the PC port. It gives the game a clean, modern look with an uncapped frame rate. Other options, like this one I'm showing now, are supposed to look like the Saturn. It puts the game in a 4:3 aspect ratio, warps the screen a little, and limits the frame rate to 30 FPS. It really does look like an old game, and I think the developer has done a wonderful job here. All of this gameplay is backdropped by an amazing soundtrack by ska band The Holophonics. Here are a few clips of my favorite songs. Take a listen. It reminds me a lot of the Tony Hawk soundtrack, something like Goldfinger or Less Than Jake. I don't know what it is, but ska always puts me in a positive mood. It kind of reminds me of summertime, I don't know why. After playing Parking Garage Rally Circuit, my only complaint is that it wasn't longer. The game has 8 tracks in its single player mode and 3 different cars to choose from. The first car is enabled at the start, but completing each set of tracks unlocks the next car. I didn't notice any differences between the cars beyond their acceleration and top speed, and of course how they look and sound. There are some limited visual customization options like paint scheme, colors, and number, but nothing beyond that. So that leaves 3 cars, 8 tracks each for a total of 24 events in the single player campaign. If you blast through it and just try to complete every track, the game is about an hour long and some change. But like I said earlier, this is the type of game where you want to keep repeating tracks to try to improve your time. And to help with some of that longevity, the game has an endurance mode where you're just trying to survive on a track for as long as you can. Each time you hit a checkpoint, you get a little bit of time back. This mode is purely for bragging rights on the leaderboard and doesn't affect progression at all. The game also has a multiplayer mode, but unfortunately I don't have any footage of it since, well, nobody else was playing when I recorded my footage. But from what I've seen in trailers, you're racing directly against other people's ghosts to get the best time, and it looks really fun. I can't wait to try it out. With all of that said, I didn't want the game to end. It's just that good. The developer, Walaber Entertainment, has done an amazing job here and crafted an absolute gem. If you're watching this video, then Parking Garage Rally Circuit is already available on Steam for $10. I'll link the store page in the description. The developer has stated that depending on sales, they'll release the game on Switch first, and then potentially even the Sega Saturn itself, which I think is a little weird given the fact that this game isn't being released on PlayStation or Xbox. I think it should at least be on those before any sort of out-of-production retro console, but that's my opinion. Either way, support this game. It's a really fun time, even if it does run on the shorter side. Thank you for watching. My name is Mercy, and as always, have a good one.